Hi guys, welcome back. It's Sue, and I'm here with my March wrap-up. And yeah, I read about 14 books this month, so a really good month. About half manga, half novels. I could conceivably have called this the end of the world as we know it month, because it seemed like a lot of the books that I read this month were sort of focused on that kind of theme. And it wasn't something I planned, but when I look back at it, I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of weird. So my first example would be Alas, Babylon by Pat Frank. I listened to this as an audiobook. It's sort of a modern classic about a small town in Florida that survives a nuclear holocaust, all-out nuclear war. And it focuses on the people of the small town and their struggles to survive and dealing with kind of like more like supplies and things like that, like electricity, medical supplies, and then, the bad aspects of society where people stealing from other people. But as much as I kind of enjoyed the story and everything, it felt much more removed from the whole nuclear war aspect of it because it was so isolated. Back in school, I can remember reading this particular book, John Hersey's Hiroshima, which is actually based on, true stories of people's survival after America bombed Japan. And the images of that still stay with me, the horrificness of the radioactivity and the burns and things like that. So with this book, you felt much more removed from that, and it almost didn't seem like to be a major part of the story in an odd sort of way. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm not going to go into all the characters of it, but it just seemed to have a lack of horrificness to it that other book still stayed so strongly in my mind. So overall, I gave that one 3 stars. Another audiobook that I listened to was Bird Box. This is by Josh Malerman. I went ahead and already did a review for this. I'll put a link to it down below. Again, it's a little strange world, possible alien invasion, and you see something out there, and everyone kind of goes mad and commits suicide. So, what is it that's out there? And like I said, I did a full review of it, but the world is completely different after whatever this is arrives. And I really, really enjoyed that one. I gave that one 4 stars. Another classic kind of alien invasion type thing would be The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I've been wanting to read this for some time. I haven't read The Time Machine. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it, but it was kind of slow. Best way to put it. It sort of followed this unnamed character throughout an invasion of Earth. These weird cylindrical ships kind of crash into the planet. He observes one of these, and they see some strange goings-on in the pit where this thing lands, and next thing you know, this sort of tripod-like creature, mechanical type creature, so apparently whatever landed there is inside this, using it as like a vehicle, emerges, and there's like a death ray, and people are starting to get killed. But it's like the way the story is kind of spread out and the way he encounters other people in the town and everything, it's sort of like they don't seem all that worried about it or knowledgeable about what's going on. But then you have to put yourself in mind that the time this book takes place, there's not social media and telephones. You can just hop on and say, hey, we're being invaded by Martians, So everything moved at a much slower pace, and it didn't seem to be the terror and things that you would expect. Except by this main character, who, as he's trying to find his way to safety and get back to his wife and everything. But overall, I still felt it was a really good story, good classic, and I gave this one 3 stars. Moving on, I read a zombie book, so now we have the zombie infestation of the world. And this is the second book in the Newsflesh trilogy by Mira Grant. This was Deadline. I really, really enjoyed Feed. I had given that one 5 stars. This was more like a 3-star read for me. They're still, the characters in here and everything were great, and everything in the storyline. There's like this underlying conspiracy they're trying to expose. At the same time, trying not to expose themselves to this viral plague, this zombie plague. But there's one aspect of this story that grated on my nerves, and I'm going to be as vague as possible, but there's one character who keeps hearing the voice of another character in their head throughout this book. And it's like they're saying that, my friends are used to it. They know they know not to respond because I'm talking to this other person. They kept saying that over and over again. Maybe I'm verging on crazy. Then they'd see the person almost in the room and have a conversation with that person. over and over again that gets mentioned throughout this book. Wanted to throw it across the room just for that aspect. But the underlying story I still really enjoyed. And my other question is, I'm wondering if Mary Grant had some kind of product placement for Coca-Cola in here, because one of the characters has like an addiction. That's her main conveyance of caffeine into her body is through Coke. And it's like, I started craving Coca-Cola, which is just absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's still a good zombie story. Maybe want to jump right into book 3 because of the cliffhanger at the end of this one. So I still really recommend the series. I'd give it a 3 stars on Goodreads, but I think I'm going to go ahead and change it up to 4 because I still think it deserves a little bit higher than that. So I'm going to give that one 4 stars. Then another world-ending or nearly ending kind of aspect. The next 2 books deal with asteroids. This first one is Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. An asteroid actually hits the moon, pushing it closer to Earth's atmosphere. And that plays all sorts of havoc with the tides and everything, causing massive tsunamis and flooding. There are whole cities that are now underwater. You know, thousands upon thousands of people are dead. And then you have all the trickle-down aspects of other problems, you know, again, supplies and things like that, electricity cutting out, power, you know, everything just kind of going away and getting harder and harder to find. The main character within this book I really enjoyed, whose name I now forgot, actually. How bad is that? The main girl, she's has to kind of get really strong really fast, looking after her family. Gets a bit more focused. She has an older brother and a younger brother, although to me it seemed like she was doing a lot more to kind of keep the family going as the story goes. But this is only like the first book in, I think, a 4-part series. We're going to end up with a lot more, besides the worldwide tidal waves. There's earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, but we're just seeing a little bit of that at the end of this book. But it really, really intrigued me. I really enjoyed it. And this one I gave 4 stars. Another asteroid was in this book. This one actually is heading for Earth and is called We All Looked Up, and it's by Tommy Wallach. You can barely see the title on the front. I don't know why they did that. It's kind of weird. But I got this for free at work. It was sent to us by the publisher for anybody who wanted to pick it up and read it and review it. And overall, I was expecting something along the lines of like The Breakfast Club meets, I forget what. Kind of The Breakfast Club meets this book, I think is what I described it in one of my Friday reads. Because there are like these characters that says before Ardor, which is the name of the meteor, before Ardor came, we let ourselves be defined by labels. So you have the athlete, the slut, the slacker, the overachiever. And in 2 months, this asteroid is supposed to be upon Earth and may or may not strike it. And all these, you know, things that could result from that. It could be the end of the world as they know it. And supposedly this is supposed to, like, bring these characters all together. But I actually found myself not really even liking any of the characters except maybe one. That would be the overachiever. Again, the name eludes me. How bad is that? I think it was Anita. She's like pushed by her parents to overachieve, go to, you know, best schools and follow this career, but it's not a career she wants. She wants to be a singer, and at every turn, her parents refuse to let her have any kind of a musical career until this happens, and it's sort of like, that's it, I'm going to go do what I want to do. And that's what, another thing that bugged me, instead of like everyone like kind of sticking close to their families, they all seem to like, all the kids seem to like leave and go elsewhere, and it was just odd. It wasn't like, and I never really felt like they came so close together as a really close-knit group that you would have expected. Say along the lines of The Breakfast Club, at the end of that, they really bonded with each other and spent time talking to each other. I didn't really get that impression with this. It was just lacking in so many ways for me. Maybe I had some preconceived notions of what it was going to be like, especially when I read the thing about the labels and stuff. It just really put that image in my mind of that movie. But yeah, overall, it was just an okay book, nothing super special. I gave it 3 stars. The rest of the ones are all sort of manga. Yeah, pretty much all manga. This one could be conceived as an end of the world type thing. This is one we read for the BookTube Manga Club. It is Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. This is a world where humanity sort of moved off Earth into these colonized spaceships that orbit around the Earth. And one of the ones furthest from the planet is kind of declared itself the Principality of Zeon, and they want to break ties with Earth. And an all-out war breaks out. Half humanity is killed off, and it's been quiet for a bit now, but the war is about to build up again. This is not the original source material. Apparently, it originally began as an anime, and the manga is sort of based on that anime. And I think it struggles because of that. Some of the action scenes are just a little bit too busy and difficult to kind of see what's going on. You can't tell who is fighting who. We have this young man here. He ends up sort of piloting this giant mobile suit Gundam. Gundam is the name of the suit, and it's like used for fighting and things like that. And like an atmospheric type suit. It's rather large. I think Transformer type. And we find a little bit more about him as the story goes. But it's just odd because he's not meant to be the pilot of this thing, and then he kind of jumps into it when they're being attacked by the Principality of Zeon, and he finds the suit and figures out how to activate it and work it, and next thing you know, he becomes like the new pilot. All that little bit there seems really sudden and really fast for me. Again, it's a very high quality manga. I'll give it that. The pages are just really beautiful and glossy. The artwork where it focuses on the people and stuff is really nicely detailed. You get some really good expressions and stuff in their faces. There are a few color photos in between, color illustrations rather, and the covers are just absolutely beautiful. So you're definitely getting your money's worth, but I think this first book struggles a little bit in sort of developing the story and getting you the first, not enough information with the characters. I'm hoping like as the series continues, we'll find out a little bit more. Overall, I gave this one 3 stars. Then moving on, I was just kind of continuing with some of the series I've already started. Ajin, Demi-Human 3, and this is by Gaman Sakurai. This is about demi-humans. These are humans that cannot die, and it's just an amazing series, kind of horror, really creepy. And we follow our main character, Kay, who suddenly finds out that he's one of these demi-humans. And, of course, people are chasing after him. He's trying to hook up with some other demi-humans, finding out more about them, maybe help getting some safety from the people that are chasing after him, wanting to experiment with him. But neither side seems very good. But this series is really intriguing, and I can't wait to kind of continue it. It's a really small format, too. It's really kind of interesting. But I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars. One of my favorite manga series is Blue Exorcist, so I kind of caught up with where we're at right now with releases. So I read volume 11 and volume 12. I gave these both 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This one we find out a lot about this character, Izumo. She's sort of like one of the gang that are studying to become exorcists, people that go after and kill off demons. And so she's an ex-wire right now, a student. And she's sort of not the most likable character in the group. She's hard to get close to. She keeps everybody at a distance. But in this one, we learn a lot more about her past, which was really nice. And that'll be continuing into the next book, this particular arc. And I'm really curious to find out more about her and her mom and her background. Really, really well written. And I also recommend the anime. I've been catching up with that as well. I really love it. It's really good and really well based on the actual manga. Then I read my first Tezuka book. This is Osama Tezuka. It is MW, also sometimes referred to as Boo. And this one was intriguing. MW is sort of a poisonous gas, and we have 2 characters in the beginning, a young man and a little boy. And the young man's part of a gang who stumble across this boy and decide that they're going to kidnap him and hold him for ransom. So they leave him with the one man, and they hide out in a cave while the other guys go off to kind of arrange this ransom. But what happens is this particular poisonous gas, unbeknownst to the residents of the island, is stored there, and it leaks. And after a while, the 2 people in the cave come out to find everybody on the island is dead. Somehow that cave protected them from this poisonous gas. Now, while they were in the cave, the young man sort of, you might say, sexually attacked the young boy. The young boy not only changed from that, but also he sort of is exposed to this MW. He has some sort of strange effects to his mind and his behavior from that point on. And the two characters are sort of tied throughout the story as they grow older. The one young man actually, regretting his behavior at the time, turns to become a priest, but is still sexually attracted to the boy who is now a young man. And it's sort of this terror that this young man goes on, basically a murderer, and the priest, the guy who's now a priest, is sort of torn between his feelings for the man and trying to stop him, basically. It's really intriguing. It's a little bit different style, again, like Tezuka. It's sort of like a Naoki Urasawa, the one who did Monsters, that same kind of style. But yeah, the character's absolutely devious. It was definitely more for mature readers. This is 16 and plus. But a really intriguing story. Like I said, my first exposure to Tezuka's work, and I did enjoy it a lot. Looking forward to reading a few more of his books. And I gave this one 4 stars. And then I believe the last ones, I think I've gotten everything. The last ones were Yotsuba, which is just an absolutely delightful manga series. It's by Kiyohiko Azuma. I've read the first 3 during the month of March. And it's just a cute slice of life story about this little girl named Yotsuba. And she, that's one of her neighbors. And there you see her with her father, this guy right here, and his father's friend, Jumbo. That's his nickname because obviously you can see by his size, he is huge. And just super cute slice of life. Her kind of learning about all sorts of new things, from what fireworks are, and fishing, and badminton, and drawing, and just all sorts of things. It's just a really cute story to read. Real fun, real quick reads. I gave these all 5 stars. Just really enjoyed them. So, yeah, that's my March wrap-up. If you guys have read any of these, let me know what you thought of them. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.